What is this?
It's a contest. The best Gran Turismo players in the world get a chance to compete in professional racing.
Your kids are scrawny little gamer kids.
Well, that's where you come in.
Come on, let's go!
When you're in a race, the cockpit is going to be 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
You made it.
Yes! Welcome to Team Nissan.
I know this track.
That's what I'm talking about!
Gran Turismo is directed by Neil Blomkamp, the director of District 9 and Chappie, and is technically based off the Gran Turismo video games. This film tells the unbelievable true story of a struggling working-class gamer, a failed former race car driver, and an idealistic motorsport exec who risk it all to take on the most elite sport in the world. So yeah, for those who don't know, this film isn't just a video game movie adapting a racing simulator. There was a real-life contest where a Gran Turismo player got to become a real racer. Now, truth be told, I've never played a Gran Turismo game, so I went into this film with a fresh perspective on the series, and I also wasn't familiar with the true story this movie was trying to tell. So just know, this review is coming from a complete newcomer to Gran Turismo and this insane story. I was worried going into this film because of how bland the trailers were, but to my surprise, I really enjoyed Gran Turismo. I wouldn't say it blew my mind in terms of storytelling, but it's a solid racing flick. The Gran Turismo games were made to be an extremely accurate simulator, and I think this film gets that, because the whole experience of watching this film felt very riveting. The film continuously makes a point on how different racing in a game is compared to real professional racing. The movie brings up how in the game you can hit the reset button if you crash, but obviously, that's not exactly how things work in real life. The racing scenes here are way more intense than you expect them to be. I was surprisingly on the edge of my seat most of the film, and that's mostly because this film wants you to know about and feel the danger that comes from professional racing, and how inexperienced this newcomer could be seen as when compared to these people who have trained their whole lives to do this. Even though this is a crowd-pleasing underdog film, the movie stands out from other films in that genre thanks to these phenomenally crafted scenes filled with raw intensity. I think this film might have the best directed racing scene since Ford vs. Ferrari. The cinematography is astounding in this film, and this might have had one of the best sound designs in a film this year. You get to feel the roaring of the engines, the speed of the vehicles, and the G-force these players are experiencing for the first time. It just feels great. There are even some nice visual effects that put the viewer in the perspective of this player, and how he views racing and pictures the materials in his vehicle coming together. And I think in that way, this film was a worthy adaptation of the games, since this movie will give audiences a great feel of what professional racing is like, just like the simulators. As I said though, this film isn't the best when it comes to storytelling. Even though this is based on a true story, the film never does something truly exceptional bringing out how special this story was. This might have been large in part due to the movie's inconsistent pacing and a few weird editing choices causing some of the storylines to not get as fleshed out as they could have been. And the film does follow similar tropes we've seen in every underdog story. But with that said, I don't think this film needed to do anything to try to stand out from other true story films, because on its own, it's still very well told. Blomkamp told this story in a way that did work for me. He made these characters feel real, and people you want to see overcome the odds and triumph. As I said, the tension brings you right into the situation these guys were in. And the film does have a strong emotional core with David Harbour's coach relationship with this young driver, whom he gets to bond with and understand his perspective on racing. I also love the gamer energy this film has. The sense of humor in this film and how it portrays gamers made for a great reminder that even though this is a biopic, yes, this is still based on a video game. And the movie does show respect towards the gamer community, not with cringeworthy, dated humor, but an actual sense of fun with how this story and racing scenes are executed. But even then, the film remains grounded. It never goes too far off in trying to appeal to gamers. And believe it or not, I think racing fans are going to be the ones who will respect this film the most. I saw this film with my dad, he's a big car guy, and I think this might have been his Spider-Man No Way Home. Throughout the film, he was just completely into it. There were points where he was even leaning over to me excited about all these different car models they were showing off, iconic racetracks that appeared, and I'm normally the one who points out clever references in films, so that's really saying something. And you could tell there were also some major racing fans in my theater because I heard applause, clapping, and cheering throughout the film, which I think is a great sign that this movie will be a certified crowd pleaser. And it's kind of miraculous to think that, since this film is being advertised as a movie inspired by video games, and we have seen over the years that video game movies don't appeal to everyone. So to have one that can be enjoyed by all ages and kinds of audience members, some of whom have probably never picked up a controller in their lives, is remarkable. David Harbour was easily my favorite part of the film, which I was not surprised by because his characters and performances are my favorite part of everything he's in. And he gives a show-stealing performance in this film. Orlando Bloom is also really great here, even if his role isn't as big as Harbour's. But the real surprise here is Archie Madekwe. He's awesome in this, and makes you believe that even though this guy is a gamer, he has a real passion for racing, and is capable of rising up to become a professional. Jaimin Hansu is another standout in this film. His character felt like the heart of the movie, and I got really invested in his storyline by the end to the point where I may have teared up a bit. Which I must stress is the last thing I was expecting a film based on Gran Turismo to make me do. While it won't win any awards for storytelling, Gran Turismo lives up to the games and gives audiences the feel of professional racing thanks to a stellar sound design, nice cinematography, high-tension scenes, cool effects, and an innovative direction that results in an entertaining, well-acted crowd pleaser. I'd say if you're going to watch this movie, definitely check it out in a Dolby Cinema. That's what I saw this in, and it felt like it was made for that format, because it really gives you the full experience in terms of presentation and brings out the simulation scenes perfectly. I don't have too much to say about this film as I do with some other movies, but this really did surprise me, and I think it doesn't matter if you love racing, or are a gamer, or someone who just wants to watch a fun underdog movie. This is a film worth seeing in theaters and you're going to get something out of it. I'm going to give Gran Turismo a 7 out of 10. So those are my thoughts on Gran Turismo. Feel free to leave your thoughts on the film in the comments below. Thanks for watching. As always, if you like this review and you want to see more, be sure to subscribe to the channel. That really helps me out. Remember to like the video and ring the notification bell to be notified for any upcoming reviews.
You've raced it, what, like 1,000 times? Now you just gotta do it in real life.